Hello, y'all. Just thought I'd hop on live today. A little impromptu. Because why not? I haven't been live in a while. How is everybody tonight? Hello, hello. Your lucky day. Well, I hope so. I thought I would just hop on live today. I haven't been live in a while. Honestly, I really don't like going live. It's not my favorite. I feel very awkward on lives. So I thought that we could just, I'll just kind of, like, my topic is usually that I talk about on here is just, like, breaking free from rumination, but really can just kind of talk about whatever, any kind of questions that you guys have. I don't really have an agenda tonight at all. Better than I was. I love that answer. So, yeah, really it's just kind of up to you guys. How are you? I am doing okay. It's been a really busy week, like very, very busy week. It's been very busy last couple of days with just school and just life stuff, but I'm good. I'm actually very proud of myself. I've handled all of the things that I've had to do very well with minimal, like, stress, so I'm proud of myself in that aspect because it's very easy for me to get overwhelmed just with life. I have a question, not sure about it being live. Well, that's okay. Only ask what you're comfortable with. You're so cute. Thank you. It's the filter. And I do have a really exciting announcement as well that I'm gonna do kind of more towards the end of the live, so stick around for the end because it's very, very exciting. It's actually like a pretty big announcement that I have for you guys, so stick around as long as you can. And if you're not able to stick around, I will post the replay of the live on my YouTube also. I always do that. So if you guys ever miss any of my lives or anything, you can always go to my YouTube channel and they will all be there. Let's see. Did you deal with coercive control? Yes, I did. And so let me explain why. So I'm going to talk about coercion in the sense of, like, the intimate side of the relationship because that's what's talked about the most on TikTok. Like, that's a really big topic of conversation right now, which it needs to be. And it happens in any kind of relationship. So, I mean, obviously, like, I am who I am. So it happens in male to female relationships, male to male, female to female. Like, it really doesn't matter. It happens in everything. The way that I dealt with it is my narcissistic and toxic ex was cheating on me the last 5 months of our relationship. And I have no idea if they were using... Well, I guess my coercion was more in the sense of, like, uninformed consent, if that makes sense. Because obviously if I had known that he was sleeping around with a bunch of random people, I would not have been having unprotected sex with him. Because that was putting my health at risk. Because I remember when I found out, I literally had a panic attack. Because I was just like, oh my gosh, like there's literally no telling how many people that he was hooking up with behind my back. Because it wasn't like he was having an affair. Like, he was hooking up with random people, and I knew of 3 of them. So that we'll just say I knew of 3, but I know there was a lot more. So because of that, I panicked, and literally the next day I called the health clinic to set up an appointment to get myself tested. So I dealt with it in that sense, where I didn't have all the information, and so I wouldn't have been consenting in that aspect. Coercion in the sense of like just kind of being talked into it, no. I didn't really deal with it in that aspect. Mine was actually kind of more the reverse, where I was just, he couldn't just say like he wasn't in the mood, like that wasn't, like he couldn't just say that, like, and he had to make some derogatory comment towards me, if that, like, to turn me off, if that makes sense. So I almost kind of dealt with it in the opposite end, where I was like devalued, and instead of like where he tried to talk me into it. But I definitely dealt with uninformed consent. That was a really long-winded answer, which is why I that's kind of a problem I have with lives. Post-separation abuse, I did not really deal with again. The only reason, now that's very, very common in narcissistic relationships, but with my situation, no. Because when I kicked him out of my house and I ended things with him, he knew that he had crossed a line with me that I just could not go back from. And so because of that, he never really tried to get back together with me, but he was very adamant about trying to stay friends with me. So, in a way, I dealt more with post-separation manipulation, because I had found out that it was very, very likely that he had like a fake Snapchat account that he was following me on. He was getting information from his sister on social media to keep track of me, and he was constantly like trying to one-up me about things that were going on. So I dealt with more of the manipulation side than post-separation abuse. The narcissistic ex said he never had those dreams. In 20 years, I never saw evidence. I don't think I understand that question. If you can re-ask that one again. J-Nell, I don't think I understand that one. Sorry. Your content has helped me so much with distancing myself from my son's narcissist mother thing. Oh, I'm glad it's been helpful. I always love hearing testimonies like that, because it reminds me of why I do what I do, so I appreciate that. Catherine says, I think you saved me. No, girl, you saved yourself. I may have helped give you some information that you needed, but don't discredit yourself. You saved yourself, girl. But thank you. That's very, very sweet. Mine cheated on me basically my whole marriage. I hated myself for so long because of who. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like it's very hard not to internalize those kind of actions, and to not like make it seem like it was something that we were lacking, or that we didn't do well enough, or did too much of, or whatever. Like, just to internalize their actions. But the reality of the situation is, and I've said this on several of my videos before, is that we literally could have been the perfect partner, and they would have still made the choices and decisions that they made. So it is very, very important that we don't internalize their reactions as a reflection of our worth, because it has absolutely nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with them and the parts of themselves that they need to fix and that they need to work on. But I understand what you're saying, because I internalized it when I found out that he had been cheating for quite a while. And then once I kind of started to rebuild my self-worth and rebuild my value, it was kind of like, this had nothing to do with me. This had everything to do with him. So it's been over 5 years and I still can't let go. How do I cut the thread? I probably need a session. Yeah, I would love to work with you one-on-one. I think that's one of the best ways, like, to... You're able to just kind of walk through it step by step with somebody that's actually been through it yourself, or been through it themselves, if that makes sense. You know, I think that therapy and coaching work really well together, that one doesn't replace the other. I think my clients that retire me the fastest are the clients that are doing both, like working with me through coaching and working with a therapist, because the therapist helps answer the question of, how did I get here? Like, what happened in my young adult life or my childhood that allowed me to accept this kind of behavior from an individual? And coaching is kind of more working on the day-to-day processes of moving forward and targeting more like the aftermath of narcissism. We have to keep in mind that narcissistic abuse is still technically not in the DSM-5. So, and that's like the guideline that most therapists work off of. So it's hard for them to really coach on that specifically when it's not within their guidelines. So it's important to know why you got there, because knowing why you got there will prevent you from getting into the same situation again. But working with somebody, it's kind of very similar to working with a sponsor in like AA or something like that. You know, just where someone's walked this path already, and they can show you that there's nothing uniquely special about me. Like, I just made a decision to do the really difficult work and ask myself the hard questions and be diligent and give myself the time also, and be patient with the process, you know. So, but yeah, that's that would be something that I think anybody can benefit from with it for sure. Mine cheated again after I took her back after getting pregnant by and raised her daughter. Man, God, I'm so sorry, Colin. That's awful. And that just kind of goes to show, like, it just, like, you, like what Colin said, mine cheated again after I took her back after getting pregnant by another man and raised her daughter as my own. Like, you performed a selfish act. And most people, well, I shouldn't say most people, I can't really say that, but a lot of people, like, they wouldn't do something like that. Like, it would be hard for them to raise a child in that kind of situation. But that just goes to show, like, your level of empathy and your level of selflessness, in the sense of, like, okay, like, mistakes were made, but we can move forward and we can get past this. And then they still do it again. Like, when they do this kind of thing and they make these decisions, like, it just goes to show, like, how broken of an individual that this person is. I think it's insane to me. I'm catching up on comments, y'all. Did you ever go back to your ex? I did not. Hardcore, firm, not no, but hell no. I never went back. I was honestly never tempted to. The night that I kicked him out was one of the scariest nights of my life, because it was the first time that I truly felt like that I was physically in danger. He didn't actually hit me, but he had me backed into a corner. He was, like, spitting on my face. He was yelling at me so loud that the veins were popping out of his neck. His eyes went black. And I was just looking at him thinking, if I don't do something, like, he could hit me, because his fist was balled up, like, he was ready. And that is just a line that once that's crossed, I could not go back from. And he knew that. And so that night I just looked at him and I was like, get out of my house. And now, does that mean that I did not miss him? Does that mean that I did not question things? Does that mean that I didn't have rumination and all of that? Absolutely not. I dealt with all of that stuff. I just saw enough. And then I found out I didn't find out about the cheating until 2 weeks after we broke up. But then I found out about that, and I found out about a bunch of other lies and stuff that he was doing, and actions, and all. I just found out a lot of information, and I found out enough information to know I could never go back. But that doesn't mean that I didn't deal with all the BS that is associated with this, if that makes sense. I love your coffee talks. They're calming. Well, thank you. It's probably my I'll be honest, like, Mind of the Narc series, that's what kind of, like, got me started. The Narcissistic Hotline I love that series that I do too, but I don't know, there is something special about the coffee talks. I genuinely really love making them, and to be honest, they're very, like, therapeutic for me as well. So I'm glad that you enjoy them. And if you guys don't know about those, on my profile, if you go and look at the playlist, all my series are on the playlist on there, but my newest one is called Yellow Mug Talks, and I even turned it into a hashtag and everything. So we're going to make it a thing. And Catherine, if you are interested in doing a one-on-one, if you go to my bio, there's a Beacons link. You click that, and that'll take you to, like, all my resources that I have. But my my one-on-ones are in there too, so you just click that, you schedule your appointment. It's super easy. But yeah, if you want to do one-on-one, it's a very easy process to do that. I'd love to work with you. It's like you internalize, then you make excuses for that. Yes, so Chipette, I hope I said that right. It's like you internalize, then you make excuses for that behavior and enable it. And that's exactly what happens. It's like this vicious cycle. And a lot of that comes down to just like core beliefs about ourselves, because that's why I think we get so mad at ourselves when we get out of this relationship and we start to look back on it, because we look back on it and we're able to start thinking logically again, because we're not in this heightened, hypervigilant emotional state, and we get really frustrated and angry with ourselves. Like, why did I do that? Like, I was, we start having this like self-deprecating talk. But that's a really important question, and that's one of the questions that I work with my clients on a lot, is like, well, why did you stay? Like, what story were you telling yourself in that moment? Because maybe there's a core belief that's there that we don't know about, and we have to fix that core belief so that way we don't get into the same situation again. Were you scared when you got into another relationship? Because that's where I am now. Oh, girl, yeah. I actually did a whole live not long ago with my now fiance. It was a rough start for me. It was also, I'll be honest, it was also probably a little early. I was not looking for a relationship when I met him. It just kind of happened, like genuinely. And I know that that's like really cliche, but neither one of us were actually looking for a relationship. And I distinctly remember about probably 2 or 3 months in having a conversation with my therapist and just realizing like, I just have to genuinely make a decision to allow myself to be vulnerable again. And if I can't do that, then I don't need to waste my time or his time. And that was really scary. Like very scary. 'Cause, the last time I did, I got really hurt. But the reality is I can't control other people's actions. I have no control over what he does. Like, if he's gonna wake up one day and decide that he don't want all this, then that's on him. Because now at this point, like, I know what I'm worth. I know what I bring to the table. And if you do decide to wake up one day and don't see that, then bye. Like, I'll find someone that does. But it took me a while to get to that point. And I still struggle with it sometimes, if I'm honest, just because there's some inner child stuff that I'm still dealing with and insecurities that I'm still dealing with. And that's why I have an appointment with my therapist on Tuesday. So... Mine emailed me the day before his birthday, but I actually didn't respond. Well, good for you. That's a huge temptation. But I can't stop thinking. Find some healthy distractions and make a deal with yourself. So if you feel like you like dealing with it a lot, like mentally, and you're thinking about it a lot, make a deal with yourself. Like, okay, I'm going to go do this first. Like some kind of like healthy habit, self-care. And if I still want to sit here and think about it after I do that, then I'll let myself do it. So try to, it almost like tricks your brain. It's weird. If you give yourself permission to do it, then it doesn't feel like rebellion and it's not as exciting. And then you if you do that, you might actually feel that you don't have the desire to do it. It's very weird how our brain works. I'm just catching up on stuff. Did you deal with the feelings of withdrawal after your narcissist left? I had the shakes for over a month. That's actually a really great question, Colin, and yes, I did. It's funny, I had the shakes also. Like, that's kind of my body, how it responds to, like, when it gets into that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. Like, I tremble. Like, my whole body will shake uncontrollably, but what's weird is, like, I'm not cold. I'm actually, like, sweating, but my whole body is shaking. And yeah, I did. Anytime that I had a conversation with him, because I did not go no contact with him until 4 or 5 months after I ended things with him. I had to work my way up to no contact. Anytime I spoke with him, I had some sort of physical response like that. Or anytime that, like, there was a time period where, like, I would just I was still in the house that we were living in, and there would be times where I would be totally fine at the house, and then there would just be times where, like, I would see something and remind me of him, and then I would connect the dots about, oh, well, when he said that, he was actually cheating in that moment, or whatever, and I would, kind of connect the dots with certain stuff like that, and yeah, I would, and, I don't want to say it just kind of goes away on its own, but in a way, you have to start to, I actually just posted a video, like, yesterday, I think, about the ABCs of triggers, and there's 3 parts to it. One is the A, which is the activating event, which is the actual trigger. B is the belief, like, what was your thought process that was going on after that event, and then C is the consequence, which is what was the response, like, what did you do, how did you act, and if we want to change how we respond to a trigger, again, we have to change the belief that's associated with that trigger. Sometimes it is just a process of working through the grief, and sometimes it is just a process of working through finding closure. But one of the really important things to remind yourself in those moments is that you're safe. Like, your body just needs to be able to hear that you're safe. I also used to take ice cubes and put them on the back of my neck, and that would help also. You're so spot on. Your voice is also so calming. It's so funny. I hate listening to... first of all, thank you. I'm sorry. That was very sweet. But I hate listening. I'm a content creator, and I hate watching my videos because I hate listening to myself. This is also incredibly validating for me. You've helped me so much, man. Well, I'm glad. I really appreciate it. Hi, Jordan. It's good to hear from you. So, yeah, Colin, like, one little idea, just a little free nugget from me. If you are still in the house, consider rearranging. One of the things that I did was I literally took every single thing off of the walls, and redid my house. Like, I didn't buy anything new. I just literally took everything off the walls and just put them all in different spots. And I just kind of changed the environment a little bit, and that actually helped. Hi, Dream. I hate watching me listening to me. I do too. I've been that way since I was young. I just can't. And it's funny because, like, I'm a singer also, and I hate listening to myself. It's easier for me to listen to myself sing because my singing voice is very, very different than my speaking voice. It's weird. But I hate hearing myself talk. Going to be remodeling. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, just you'd be really surprised, just like changing it up a little bit. It helps. I did that with the walls, and then I also rearranged my living furniture. No, I didn't get new bedding. No, I did not get new bedding. I thought I did almost. You want to hear me sing? Good luck with that. I haven't really sang publicly. I haven't sang publicly. Well, I've only sang publicly twice in the past 4 years, and they both were at funerals. So, actually, if you're really, really bored, Dream, you can scroll all the way back 2 years ago when I first started getting on TikTok, and I used to post videos of me singing on TikTok, actually. If you're really bored, go for it. Any other questions that you guys have? And don't forget, I said this at the very beginning, but I haven't said it again. I do have a really exciting announcement that I'm going to be doing towards the end of this live. So if you're able to hang out until the end, hang out, because I am very, very excited, actually. It's like really, really big news. If you do have to hop off, then you can go to my YouTube channel. This will be posted on my YouTube as well. But big, big announcement that I'm saying at the end of this today. Challenge accepted. School is going. I mean, it's going well-ish. I'm honestly, like, I'm so excited that this is my last, like, academic semester, because I just start my clinical rotations next semester, and the rest of it's just pretty much clinicals after that. So that I'm very excited about. I'm not doing social work, so I'm doing something called occupational therapy. So I'm getting my doctorate in that. They actually do work with social workers a lot, but they more commonly work with, like, on a rehab team with, like, physical therapists and speech language pathology. The three of us are usually a pretty tight unit, especially in the hospitals. Your skin gets more perfect every time I see you. Thank you. I created a note on my phone titled Text for Her that I can't send, and it's been helping. I type out everything I want to tell her but don't want to break minimal contact. I actually really love that idea. It's the same concept of journaling or writing on the letter. So that's actually a really great idea. Did they ever regret how they treated you? It's hard to regret something that you can't admit that you did. And I know with my ex specifically, his main go-to story was just that he was the victim. Like, everybody screwed him over. Everybody's, everyone cheated on him. Or, he was very typical, I think, at when he would talk about his ex, he was actually talking about himself. And, it's hard to regret something that you can't even admit. And when you live in this, like, state of just everything is a lie, I mean, I don't even know if he remembered. I know for a fact, like, he would lie so much he would forget what he lied about. Like, he would forget his own stories. So that was always really kind of fun to bust him in, especially after we broke up. Now, I do think that there was one time when he called me after we broke up, and he was drunk, per the usual. And I think he never really used the word I regret. They do use the words I regret as a way for, it's like called a phantom apology. And that's where they will say phrases that sound like an apology, but it's really not. And very, very common for them to start that with an I regret statement. Like, oh, I regret cheating, or oh, I regret this, or I regret getting drunk, or whatever. But no, as far as like the actual feeling of regret, I don't think so. That's my personal opinion. Oh my gosh, finally a site not doing a reading. Girl, I know. I don't know why those things pop up on my For You page all the time too, but they do. I'm just like, ugh, and I hit the not interested button over and over and over again, and they still just pop up. Or like oh my god, what is it? The thing when they like do the nails on the microphone and the creaky crunchy, and it's supposed to soothe, but it just makes me like, oh, it just makes me feel like there's bugs in my room. But don't forget, guys, I do have a big announcement towards the end of this live, so hang on as long as you can. If you're not able to hang till the end, it will be on my YouTube channel as well. I think it is ASMR. Yes, I think that's what it is. But those pop up on my FYP a lot. Trying to look like the victim. Yeah, so Jordan, what I mean by that is, when you're not able to take accountability for things and everything was done to you, and that you didn't like create, like you didn't play a role in where you're at in your life, and it's everybody else's fault. He blamed everything on the fact that his mom left, when he was like 3 or whatever. And then, like I said, he always said like his ex-husband was abusive to him and cheated on him and was condescending. And, here's what's weird too. He said that his ex-husband completely changed after they moved in together. Well, guess what happened when he and I moved in together? Like, he started cheating on me within 3 months. So it's like he constantly played this like victim role, like everything had been done to him, where he's just had this like long string of just like, everybody's just hurt him, everybody's just screwed him over, everybody's just done all this to him. When in reality, like, he was probably doing most of that stuff to other people. Or like if something would go wrong at work, it was somebody else's fault. There's just not being able to take accountability. So, welcome to the OTPT SLP world. Thank you. I'm very excited. I I knew I wanted to be an OT my senior year at my undergrad, and I just kind of let life get in the way. So, starting it a little late, but late is better than never. Mine never once apologized. His favorite saying was, "My actions are reactions to..." Oh, yeah. God, my ex used to say, "Well, I have an attitude because you have an attitude." That was literally one of his, like, go-to phrases all the time. And, like, here's the thing. I'm gay. I'm Latino. I know when I have an attitude because I can have an attitude. I have a whole other alter ego, and her name is Margarita, and she's usually not very nice. So I know when I have an attitude, and I would say that to him. I'm like, I know when I have one, and I do not have one. I'm starting to have one because now I'm irritated because you're accusing me of having an attitude, you know, and it's like, well, you know, when you said this, like, you huffed after you said it. Really? You know, it's like they would literally just find, like, the littlest thing to, like, prove their point. And, it used to drive me insane. But, so you're adorable. What do you do here? Thank you, Marcy. That's cute. So I am a survivor of narcissistic abuse, and so I just kind of share my story, and I also help coach and mentor people on finding their own healing, and really my goal is just for people to not feel isolated, because it's a very isolating event that can happen to you. Just narcissistic, emotionally abusive, manipulative types of relationships, they're very hard for people to understand if they've never been through it, and I remember how alone I felt, and I just want people to not feel alone, and that there's someone else out there that has gone through the same thing. I'm like super behind on comments, y'all. I'm sorry. So yes, this is about relationships. If you're still on, again, sorry, I'm really behind. And Cheryl, if you're struggling with ruminating, you're in the right spot. All right. He was just confessing his sins and blaming others. That's exactly what it was. And I even asked my therapist, because I think I actually saw that on TikTok first before I even really started doing, like, creating content or anything. And I asked her, I was like, is this true? Like, is it common for narcissists to, like, confess by saying their exes did something? And she confirmed it. She said, yeah. One of the things that she said was very helpful to me. She said, with narcissism, not everything's always black and white. There's very few things where it's like, oh, all narcissists cheat, or all narcissists, you know, do that, confess through accusations. You know, like, they don't all do that. It's just there's tendencies that most of them do. Like, it's not uncommon. Like, it's not uncommon after you go no contact for a narcissist to, like if you block them, it's not uncommon for them to get a fake phone number or a fake email or a fake social media account or whatever, and they blow you up. Mine didn't do that, but I also knew that he didn't do that or that he would not do that, because he likes to play the victim role, and he kept trying to be friends with me and all of that, and I knew that he was gonna spin me blocking him as like, well, see, I wanted to be friends, and he was petty and blocked me. So, do they ever get tired of themselves? I've wondered that myself. I'm gonna actually ask Raw Motivations that question, like what his opinion is on it. I don't think so. It's just their way of life. Like, it just, I don't think so. But I don't know how they do it. I don't know how people like this live, you know, and there's a part of me that, like, feels pity for them. Not bad for them, but almost like pity, because they're never going to have a true quality of life. Like, when you treat people this way and you're constantly having to start over, and it's just impossible to have a quality life and quality relationship. So, okay, I'm catching up on comments. Hi, Heather. So Marcy asked, can you explain to me in your words what a narcissist is? That's a good question. So, I don't like to necessarily get wrapped up in the label of narcissist, or like narcissist personality disorder, or like all that kind of stuff. For me, it's more about a pattern of behavior. And it's more about like how people are treated, And so, I mean, you can use the word narcissist, you can use the word toxic, you can use the word manipulative, but essentially there's a lack of authenticity to this person. This person it's very difficult for them to apologize and to accept accountability for their behavior. It's difficult for this person to acknowledge the hurt that they have within themselves, and so because of that, they end up hurting other people, because it's easier to hurt other people before I let you hurt me. It's very difficult for these people to engage in honesty. So that's, I would say, what the characteristics of them are. And then if you kind of flip the script and what it feels like to be in that kind of relationship, to be in one of those, the best way that I can describe it is you are in a room with the person that you love, but yet you completely feel alone, like just completely alone. You're constantly questioning yourself. You're constantly feeling like everything is your fault. You don't know what version of them is coming home. Like, is it the person that... It's almost like you have this, like... You fell in love with one person, which is at the beginning, which is the love bombing stage is what it's called. And then it's kind of like this whole script is flipped on you, and they're this totally different person, but you want so badly the person that you used to know to come back, because that's what you fell in love with. So that's one of the best ways that I would describe it. So do they lie to you all the time? Yeah, my ex lied about everything. But are they different at home than in public? A lot of times they are. That's what's called, one of the terms in, like, narcissism is called the representative. They represent themselves one way in public, and then they're a completely different person behind closed doors. I actually have a video that's pinned on my profile that explains that. So you're more than welcome to see that. They learn to fake guilt. Nothing is real. It's true. And what's really funny is when they fake cry. Like, mine used to, like, sob, but there would be no tears running down his face. That was always really funny. Well, it's funny now. It wasn't funny in the moment. Honestly, and I remember even asking him, I was like, I don't mean... I was like, this might be a weird question. I was like, but... when you cry, I don't really notice, like, tears, come down. Like, what's up with that? And he tried to tell me that he had low-producing tear ducts, is what he said. Literally, that's what he said. And I was like, I mean, I guess that's technically a thing, but... How many years were you together, or months, before you realized this? We were together a total of 18 months. Mine said he had dry eye syndrome. Yeah, low producing tear ducts was what I was told. So yeah, we were together for 18 months. And the best way that I can explain it is that I remember having a conversation with one of my best friends, probably like a couple of months before I ended things finally with him. And I just told her, I was like, I feel like I'm dating an overgrown teenager. Like, he's just so emotionally immature. Like, he can't take responsibility. I recognize some of this stuff, but I would have never put the word narcissist attached to his behavior. It actually wasn't until I was in therapy a couple of weeks later when I was talking about it a little bit more, and that's when I learned about what narcissism actually was. And so then I just started researching, like, what happens in those kind of relationships and how you feel, just to kind of confirm some things for myself. So I never put the term narcissism together until after Not well after I left, but after I left. Probably a couple weeks. Mine could cry on demand. Great. Oh, wow, that is impressive. Mine tried. Mine just said he didn't cry easily, but, like, he had stage 3 colon cancer and never once cried. Dang. Yes, I do. I have a dog. I have a little corgi. She's adorable, but she's obnoxious when she wants to be. And she always knows when I'm working. First time here, I escaped my narc abuser 4 years ago. Well, first of all, congratulations for escaping. No context. So have you been no contact for 4 years? If you have, that's like awesome. That's a huge milestone. Mine tried to cry one time and apologized. No tears, but his face was scrunched up. That's what mine would do. It was so weird. My ex would do the same thing. It was like literally like everything here was like the whole thing was going on, you know, or like he would do the head in the hands thing and just like literally like the hyper breathing type thing. And then he would look up and there was nothing going on in the eyes. And I'm just like, that's weird. I mean, like wail, like sobbing, like wailing, and just no tears at all. So just a reminder, guys, I do have an exciting announcement at the end of the live. I'm probably going to be ending in like 15, 20 minutes or so. So if you're able to hang till that, don't miss the announcement. But if not, it's okay. I'm posting this live replay on my YouTube. It'll probably be posted either tomorrow or the next day. But I have a really big announcement coming up that I'm really, really excited about. I'm like anxious to say it. I'm so excited. Yeah, then mine would turn his head from me. Yeah, like the same thing. He would either turn his head away. Well, his was mainly like the head and the hands. That's what he would do. Like he would almost like put his head like in his lap. It was just weird. When I found out she cheated, I sobbed in front of her and she was stone-faced. I couldn't believe it. That, to me, the stone-faced thing when it comes to, oh my God, that's one of the creepiest parts to them. Like, it really is. It's just the sheer lack of, it's just the lack of human emotion. Not even the lack of empathy. It's just the lack of human emotion that just would blow my mind. Because I remember my ex would push me to the point where I would just break down. Like, I would literally break down to the point where I was, like, sitting on the floor. I remember there was one time I was folding my son's laundry. And my son was less than a year old at the time. I was folding his laundry and putting it in the dresser. And my ex was freaking out on me. I think he actually was accusing me of cheating on him. Which, if y'all know, you know. That means he was at the time. And he was not letting it go. And he was just screaming at me and like all this stuff. And I just remember like I just dropped the clothes and I was like, I don't know what else to do to convince you that I'm not cheating. And I just lost it. Because I felt, I was hopeless. Like I was like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to do. And I'm not. And I just sat down in the floor in my son's room and just sobbed. And it's like, it's almost like he just sat next to me and just like observed. Like there was no facial expression either. It was just this like, not even satisfaction. It was just, I don't even know how to explain the look that was on his face. It was just so bizarre. Like it was almost, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just almost kind of like a curiosity, you know, like almost like it was just so foreign to him. I don't know. I really don't know how to explain it. It was just a dead stare in their face. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it was. I mean, I feel like that doesn't describe it quite exactly it, but that's the best I can come up with at 8:45 in the evening. Yeah, no, mine did. He would do the crying thing. So she said this idea of them crying is so odd to me since mine only got angry. That's kind of brings me back to the point I said earlier about like not everything is black and white with the narcissist. or narcissistic people, toxic people, whatever words you want to use. There's tendencies that you can see. So it's like they can play this like Sally Saab victim thing, but I think it's actually a little bit more common for the angry side. And don't worry, my ex got very angry. I got the full gamut. I was upgraded to the premium package. Literally all this is kind of what was creepy. So the reason why he was accusing me of cheating was I had this like gallon-sized Ziploc bag that was in my dresser that had like my old phones, it had old headphones, an old Apple Watch, like just old technology pieces that I didn't really use, and honestly I don't know why I was keeping. And he was either, okay, I'll just tell you what happened. So I was wanting to use a pair of headphones for a run that I was going on, or something like that, I think. But I was getting headphones, and I was looking for the headphone adapter to go into like my iPhone, because the only headphones that I had were the old plug-in thing, because I hate buying new stuff. So I went into that bag to get the adapter out of it, or I was looking for it. So technically the bag had been moved, right? And like I mentioned, there was an old phone in that bag. So the reason why, like, he literally got home from work one day, and he was just mad. Like, he was just in one of those moods. And after about like 30 minutes or so, I just finally asked him, I was like, what's going on? I don't even remember if I asked him if he was cheating or something, but I just was like, something's going on with you. Like, what is up? And he was like, well, I wouldn't be so upset if you weren't cheating on me. And I was like, what? Like, I've literally been home with the kids all day. And I was like, where are you even coming up with this? And he was like, the bag in your nightstand, it's in a different spot than it was yesterday. Like, that's how closely he was, like, watching me in a way. Or he just knew that I went in. I don't know if he was watching me that closely, or if he just knew I went in that bag and he just created this story. And I was like, I know for a fact he saw me go into it, because now I'm remembering, because I remember saying, you watched me get headphones out of there. Like, that's why the bag's in a different spot. Like literally just, it was just so like, I'm just gonna grab something out of left field to accuse you of this. It was wild. It was totally wild. So, anyways. Talk about female narcissists. So that's actually great. I don't think we talk about it enough. We need to talk about it more, because they definitely are out there. Ironically, I've dealt with more narcissistic women in my life than men. I've only really dealt with 2 narcissistic men, and I've dealt with 3 narcissistic women in my life. So ultimately, like, from what like the research and stuff that I've done, and even just with my experience and stuff, like, women, they're a lot more like silently manipulative than like a narcissistic man. Like, most narcissistic men are going to be more about like asserting power and control over people, and it's more like this dominance kind of thing. But with narcissistic women, the goal is still control and power, but the way that they go about it is a little bit different. So it's a little bit more, again, like I said, through like manipulation. They're very into their looks. They're very materialistic. It's about power and dominance, but more in a social setting, like in a social hierarchy. That's probably the best way to put it, as opposed to like just power and dominance, like in the relationship and stuff too. But they're just like, one of the females that I dealt with, she was extremely, extremely competitive. And while we were coworkers, and so when we were in the same store together, we were like best friends. And because I helped her, I was her assistant manager, so like I had really, really good numbers. And the more numbers that I produced, the bigger her bonus was, because she got a bonus off the store. Well, the moment that I got promoted and was moved to another store, everything changed with our relationship. There was a lot of things that I found out she was saying behind my back. She was like making up customer complaints about me. She was literally trash talking me to like trainees that I was training at the company. Like, everything changed about this person, and it was because I was no longer assisting her. I was now her competition, and I was stealing some of the spotlight from her. So that was and that's when it clicked with me, like, oh, whoa. So and again, when that happened, I think actually when that happened, I was already learning about narcissism and stuff, because learning about narcissism and toxic relationships and stuff made me realize how many that I had dealt with. And that's when I had this like light bulb moment in my brain of like, I gotta figure this out, because I keep putting myself in these kind of situations. I don't want to do this anymore. How did you learn to forgive yourself for being in a relationship with a narcissist? I had to remind myself of where I was at in my life when I met my narcissistic ex in like the romantic sense. My life was in complete turmoil in that time. Like, complete turmoil. I had just come out of the closet. I was getting divorced from, my kid's mom. I was being kicked out of the church because I was a worship pastor at the time. I was losing friends left and right. The entire reputation that I had built my entire life was kind of crumbling underneath me. And so when there's this dude that's coming into my life and overly showering me with like words of affirmation, which is like my number one love language, and saying everything that I needed to hear and all of this and all of that, I mean, it was so intoxicating for me. And so I had to remember that where I was at in my life, I had no sense of self-worth and I had no sense of self-value. And even though I was stepping into my truth, it didn't mean that there wasn't a lot of pain going on. And so it's like I had to forgive myself in the sense of should I have trusted my instincts more? Should I have stood up for myself more and all of that? Yes. And I just decided to use it as a learning opportunity of like, this is what happens when I don't listen to my intuition. Like, worst case scenario, this is what happens. But I also had to stop holding my past self to the knowledge and standards that my present self had. Because why I felt so frustrated with myself is like, at this point in time, when I'm thinking about this, like, I know about narcissism. I know about the lies. I'm able to think more clearly about it. I know about how I view myself. I was a different person, 6 months after the relationship than I was starting. And you have to stop holding your past self to your current standards and your current knowledge base, because you didn't know the things that you know now back then. So just looking back on yourself with more grace and less judgment will help set up forgiveness with yourself, for sure. I was excommunicated years ago and went to a Christian school. I did too. Don't ever feel guilty for who you are. Thank you, and that's very sweet. I feel like I was drawn to your videos and all because I was shunned by my church, so thank you. Well, I'm sorry you have a shared experience with that. And I'm kind of at the point of where I realize now that my issue is not with my relationship with God. It's my issues with the church, and that's a very big distinction for me. Because God's not the one that kicked me out. The church did. The people did. So that's been a journey on its own. To be honest, that's very off topic of my my usual niche, but it's been an important lesson that I've learned. What? I'm pretty sure it's plugged into my laptop. So I will do like 2 more minutes and then I'll make my announcement, because I'm hungry. Thank you, Marcy. I appreciate it. That's very sweet. You were pivotal in helping me through the aftermath. Well, thank you. That's very, very kind. And you know, I genuinely do, like, y'all don't realize how much those comments really do mean to me, because being, like, now that this is, like, my, like, job, essentially, like, I do grad school full-time, but I don't work my part-time job anymore. I just do this when it comes to work, and sometimes being a content creator can be really difficult, and you get a little bit more wrapped up in the numbers sometimes than the purpose and why you're doing what you're doing. And it's like, I literally hold on to those kind of comments because it keeps the main thing for me. So I really appreciate it. First time tonight on your live. Much love from Canada. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and make the announcement. So I have been working on something for a while now at this point. It's kind of been something in my brain, and I've been wanting to bring it to fruition for a long time, and I finally started to work on it over this summer. And one of the things that I feel like I am very strong in, especially when it comes to, like, dealing the aftermath of, like, narcissistic and myself, I was so desperate to just feel normal again and to stop thinking about this person, and for me to get control back over my own thought process, and for them to not be the first thing I thought about when I woke up and the last thing I thought about when I went to bed. And so I was essentially kind of like my own guinea pig. Like, I literally just tried anything just to make it work. And that's kind of what developed my coaching calls. But I have put together an actual course, and it's called the Breaking Free from Rumination course. It is a self-paced course that you actually work through, and it's designed to really help you understand, like, why rumination happens, but more important, because when you understand why it's happening, then you can actually deal with it and understand how to overcome it, and understand how to change the belief systems that are associated to ruminating. So I have made the course. It is going through its final rounds of editing, but it is actually being launched next Friday on the 23rd of September. So I'm very, very excited about this. Even if you guys, like, you know, even if you don't know if it's the right fit for you, I think that this course is going to impact so many people, because rumination, I know for me, was like the hardest part for me to get over. It was absolutely the hardest part for me to break. So even if you don't feel like you are in that pattern, if y'all can just help me, like, if you see a video that talks about it or anything, like, share it and put it out there just so people know that it exists. There is no other course in the narcissistic abuse survivor realm that specifically focuses on rumination. There's a lot of great courses out there, like the Trauma Bond Recovery course and all of that. And I know there's more coming that I'm not allowed to say, but this is the only one that specifically focuses on breaking rumination. So I am very, very excited. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that was coming. I'm going to be, like, putting more stuff out there. I'm, to be honest, I'm going back and forth of whether or not to do, like, a pre-launch. And I don't know the website well enough to know if I'm going to do that. But if all else fails, it's coming out officially next Friday on the 23rd. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew about that, so you can mark it in your calendar and grab it if you need it. There's also a benefit to the course where if you are a member of the course, you actually are able to get my coaching calls at a discounted rate, because there is links to my coaching that are only found in that course. They're not on my public website. So that's another benefit of the course as well. It has worksheets that you can work through. There's scientifically based articles that are on there. There's videos from myself on there and other people. There's homework that you go through every week. You're going to be able to find it directly on my profile. I will have in my beacons link, why do I struggle saying that so much? My beacons link, you'll be able to click on that link and it'll be one of the first things that you'll see. So it comes out again next Friday, September 23rd, and I'm very, 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 very excited about it. I don't have a podcast channel, honestly, and the reason mainly why is because I'm afraid, like, I would love to do a podcast, but I'm afraid if I start it that I just wouldn't be consistent enough with it just due to my school schedule, because school is just crazy, right? It just is. It just keeps me so busy. I barely keep track of everything I've got going on right now. So that, but yeah, so no, I don't. But anyways, guys, I am going to hop off of here for the evening. I appreciate y'all hanging out. This was one of the most interactive lives that I've had. So I love that, because otherwise I just feel awkward and I'm just kind of sitting here. But I appreciate you guys hopping on. And once again, the Breaking Free from Rumination course, it comes out. Oh my gosh, I have one more announcement. But Breaking Free from Rumination course comes out next Friday, the 23rd. You will be able to find it on any of my social media platforms. The Beacons link is on there. Other announcement, if you are in the Texas area, especially like Central or South Texas, we are doing a meet and greet in Austin on October 15th. So you will have an opportunity to like meet me and I think 9 other creators in the Narcissistic Abuse survivors realm. It's going to be, I'm really, really excited about it because it's a whole day event. So you will have the opportunity to sign up for like in-person one-on-ones with me or anybody else that's there that's doing it. There's also going to be an exclusive Q&A where it's going to be like this whole like VIP thing where you're able to just like ask your own questions to the panel of us two and really kind of sit in kind of more of a round table kind of environment with us. And then there's just the open meet and greet. That's the free event that anybody can go to as long as they register. But you do have to register for it because the venue has a limited amount of like capacity that we can have. I know for the Q&As, there's like less than 30 spots available for that. That's the exclusive part. The one-on-ones, that's just a one-on-one basis, so that's a little bit different. But the exclusive Q&A has less than 30 spots. And I know that the general meeting, the free part, that's filling up pretty fast too. So again, if you want to register for the meet and greet in Austin, it's October 15th. Same thing, just go to any of my social media platforms. The Beacons link is on there. Scroll down until you see Texas meet and greet, and then it'll take you straight to the site to get registered for whatever you want to register for. So now I think I'm done. When will I be live again? I don't 100% know. I'm going to try to go live next week. It'll probably... I don't want to lie to you. I'm actually wanting to go live with my friend Bree next week. So I just don't know what day yet. We haven't coordinated our schedule. It's really hard for me to go live more than once a week. It just is. But once again, thank you guys for being on. This was, like I said, one of the most interactive lives that I had. So it was great. And I just thank you guys for all of your kind words and all the support that you guys continue to show me on a daily basis. And it means more than you know, and it keeps me going and just helps remind me to stay focused on the main thing. But I think you guys are wonderful. And as always, I just am so honored and so appreciative that you allow me to be a small part of your healing journey. So love you guys so much and have a great evening, and we will talk soon. Good night, y'all.